talk about all things nonprofit. Whether you're a seasoned nonprofit professional or just getting started in the industry, these lives are for you. Our mission is to provide engaging and informative conversations with experts in the nonprofit world, sharing insights, strategies, and stories that can help you make a difference in your community and beyond. Each episode is centered around a theme for the month. The topics include anything from fundraising and marketing to volunteer management and board development. We'll explore the challenges facing nonprofits today and share practical tips and advice for overcoming them. But Nonprofit Enthusiast Live isn't just about learning. We also want to create a community of like-minded individuals who are passionate about making a positive impact. We want to hear from you and engage in conversations that inspire and motivate us all to do more. So whether you're tuning in during your morning commute, while doing chores around the house, or on a break from your busy workday, we hope you'll find something valuable in each episode of Nonprofit Enthusiast Live. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nonprofit Enthusiast Live. I'm your host, Lashina Williams, and so excited to be back here with you all. And as we dive into this month's topic, which is from activities to impact, building program funders are willing to support. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. What does that look like for your nonprofit? With our very special guest, we have Dr. Angela White Jones back with us, and I'm excited to dive into this month's topic. Hold on one second. There we go. There we go. Welcome.
Hi, Lashina. How are you?
Good. So glad to have you back on.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back on.
For those who have not caught a past live with you, do you mind just sharing a little bit about your work in the nonprofit sector?
Sure. I have been working in the nonprofit sector in various capacities for now almost no, over 20 years. I have currently a program director and a professor at the University of Central Florida in the School of Public Administration with a lean towards our nonprofit management program. And before that, I worked in various capacities, primarily in the grant and contract writing, management, and senior director space for several nonprofits in the Central Florida area, as well as some public organizations in the state of Ohio, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. So there's a little bit about me in a short span.
Love it, love it. And typically, I'll dive a little bit deeper into your background, but I'm gonna say, hey, if you don't know about Dr. Angela White Jones, definitely go check her out. Look at our past lives, because I want to allow time for this month's topic to be able to kind of just talk a little bit about moving programs from activities to impact, and what does that
Mhm.
look like for organizations. And I know for a lot of organizations, when they first start out, this may be running a series of events, not necessarily knowing how to now turn those events into programs. Maybe let's start there. So we're a new nonprofit starting out. We've been running events throughout the year. We want to be able to gain support, but we find that a lot of funders don't support events, and because of wanting to see the impact through programs. So
Mhm.
what does that look like? What should an organization like next steps be?
Well, the first thing is to, of course, find out what exactly your program is going to encompass, what you're going to do. And I always say, look at what's around you first to determine what the needs are in your community. And that is so that you are not repeating or duplicating work. What funders really want to see are organizations that are trying to fill a need that is unmet trying to find a way to help individuals that are falling through the cracks, going through the donut hole, whatever the metaphor is that you want to use, but people who are not experiencing or not able to receive those services. I think too many times nonprofits, when they want to start the programmatic journey, they are just like, I'm going to have, for example, a tutoring program. Well, that's great, but how many tutoring programs are in your city or in your county or in your area? Are you duplicating those efforts? Is that something that you can have in your as a part of your menu, but maybe partner with someone else on and then offer another program that other people are not utilizing? So if it's tutoring, is it a specific community that you know that you can prove are not receiving those services? And that's where things also like data collection comes from, and just doing a little bit of, more of a competitive analysis. A lot of nonprofits, I think, when they hear things like competitive analysis, data collection, they think of it for a for-profit space, that for-profit companies do something like that. But again, nonprofits are business just as equal to a for-profit entity or corporation. And we must operate as such as well. So when we go out into our landscape and we want to create a new program, we have to make sure that we're not going to be running up against someone else who is doing the same thing or very, very, similar thing with maybe some tiny tweaks, because the tiny tweaks aren't really going to get you that funding if a funder is like, well, I'm already supporting this, or I already see something is doing this and they've been doing it longer and with more people and et cetera, et cetera. So find where that unmet need is first. And then you have to think about your capacity as an organization of how you're going to bring that unmet need to the community masses and at large. And that may at first be, when I say at large, it doesn't mean that you have to start with 300 individuals that are going through the program. Maybe you start with 5, but what are your plans to scale up, and what does that look like? Who is going to be disseminating the program? Do you have the building? Do you have any permitting? Do you have the insurance? Do you have the legal paperwork? Particularly if you are dealing with persons that could be quantified in a sensitive nature. So that's children, the elderly, those who are disabled. There's certainly more that fall in under that category. So there's definitely processes that you have to ensure are aligned with your program, and not just, I want to do this, I'm going to start doing this. That is always, I say 80% when if I teach grants, but honestly, it goes with anything in nonprofit. 80% is the preparation part. 20% is the writing, is the, getting the money, it's the promotion, it's the marketing, all of that. But none of that will do any good if you've not really just thought through from stem to stern the program, the capacity that your organization has to fulfill that program, the need in the community for such a program, and then how you're going to get people into your program. How are citizens going to be able to trust that you're going to do right by them, and that you're going to give them the things that they need, and it's not just another drop in the bucket and then you'll go away or close or anything like that. So it starts from the beginning in the planning, I would say.
I love that. Building that foundation. Um,
Absolutely.
a lot of times the analogy that I love to use, just because I love food with organizations, is
Me too.
like I just love anything I can compare it to food. Like even when you were talking, you were talking about the different competitive analysis. I just thought about those areas in the community. I think we all could think about where those are, where it's all a certain type of food in that one
Hmm.
section, and it's like there's one that's favorable over the other, and the competition just within that. But something when it comes to programs, I oftentimes say, imagine going into one of these restaurants and there's nothing on the menu.
Hmm.
What are you investing in? What's helping to fill your needs? What is there? Yeah, you can have the building, You could have the people, but if you don't spend time building that program, your services, that menu, and really invest the time into building that, there's nothing there that your organization is truly offering to fill a need in the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So many nonprofits, and I know we kind of touched on some of these pieces. But many nonprofits describe their work in terms of activities. From a funder's perspective, what's the difference between an activity driven program and an impact driven program?
So I would say for an impact, it's really something that can be quantifiable, that you're showing, the importance that you're showing, the gravitas behind your program. At the end, what did they get out of it? What
Mhm.
happened to them? What changes? What was the delta? What were the changes that were made as a result of the client or the customer, or the community attending the program? The activity driven portion is what exactly is happening, what you're doing. So, if you using my tutoring example, from an activity perspective, your activities might be games, gameplay. It may be integrating technology with literacy as well. It might be integrating sports. And
Hold on one second. Hold on. There we go. There we go.
there you go. It may it may be integrating sports and physical activities with literacy. So those are the activities. Maybe there are, when you're doing activity driven, they're usually rooted in, again, some sort of educational data, and ideas on what works for children, or teens, what can be employed, and then utilizing them in a very unique way, in a way that is interesting and that makes the consumer of the activity want to engage. The impact is saying, okay, once we've done these types of programs, what happened? Did they actually pass? Did we see proficiency increases in their literacy? Did we see their vocabulary, and the breadth of their vocabulary increase by a specific percentage? Did we see children say that they have found more of a love of reading as a result of this? Did they find new books to discover? Did they go to the library and get a library card, or decide to go to the bookstore and purchase a book or two? Like, there's a variety of those ways. What were the impacts of said activities after everything was said and done?
Awesome. So what would you say are the most common mistakes nonprofits make that weaken their program's credibility, especially when funders are reviewing proposals or reports?
I think when there's a plan, and when there's, I think what really weakens is when nonprofits aren't realistic about what they can and cannot do. I find the most successful nonprofits are the ones that are honest and transparent about saying, we're new. We want to start. We know we've got a solid 10 students, or solid 10 members of the community that are going to go through this and be impacted by it. And we believe that when that 10 happens, we'll have another 10 or another 12 on deck, next year. We'll have, after that, we believe we'll have 20 on deck after that. And they know the opportunities that's having scalability within their program, how important that is for them. And not just, I'm going to start with all of this money and then I'm going to give you 500, people from the community. Not saying that that can't happen.
Hmm.
It's rare. It's rare because there are so many other intangibles, things that you cannot control, especially when you're dealing with the community and members of the
Hmm.
public. And again, we're seeing now more than ever more people enter into the nonprofit space. And so you have to think that there's going to be competition in a way that maybe some people's vision happens only in the for-profit world, but there are more and more nonprofits that are being created than ever before, not to mention the existing nonprofits, not to mention the social enterprises and the B Corps from that are in offshoot arms of non or of for-profit companies that are also happening. So there's a lot in this space. It's getting to be crowded no matter what area that you look at. And that doesn't mean that there's not a place for you in it, but it does mean that we have to be realistic about how you go from point A to point Z, and that this don't negate the steps, don't negate B through Y,
Mm-hmm.
and just think it's A, and because I say so, or with the money, we're going to go to Z. A really solid proposal is a realistic proposal, and it's one that leaves room for growth. And I think that's an opportunity that is often missed, in addition to things like the standard of proposals that aren't written well,
Mm-hmm.
budgets that are unfinished, the kind of the typical stuff that you will
Mm-hmm.
hear from reviewers that we've seen over and over again, which I always caution people, please edit your proposals before you send them
Mm-hmm.
in.
Yes.
Yes. For sure.
Read them,
Read
edit
them,
them, maybe
read
have someone
them.
else look at
It,
it.
please have someone else. Don't, and I'm guilty of this too. We write so much,
Mm-hmm.
and we get that, almost where our minds have is an oversaturation and satiation of the words that we say. And so we look right past the errors, and we really don't, and our brains almost trick us into fixing the errors on our behalf.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to take a step back, take a couple days from it before you review it again. Give it to someone else in your department. If you only have a small group, then give it to a trusted friend who can read it and who can say and tell you the truth and say, I don't understand this. Because if they don't understand it, it's very likely that the reviewer is not going to understand it either.
Mm-hmm. Agreed, agreed.
Mhm.
So for nonprofit leaders listening who want to shift from activity-based programming to fundable impact, what is one practical step they can take within the next 30 to 60 days?
That's a really good question. I think that if you're going to go from like an activity to fundable impact, honestly, it's ask yourself, what is the point? Like, what do you want people to get out of this at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day? Just by asking that one question, you can answer it in so many different ways that give you objectives and allow you to see, okay, um, you know, this is what I want to do. This is how we get there. And this is how many people can be serviced through this way. Um, I would caution too, if you're someone who really likes the visual, write it down in the form of a logic model, or you can break down a logic model will enable you to break down the design of your program from impact to outcome, and therefore from start to finish. So, your first section are your inputs. What do you have? What are the tangible things that you have? Do you have people? Do you have, and people meaning staff, programmatic managers? And because it's not just, sometimes when we say staff, we think, well, yeah, I've got, a uh, a CEO, CFO, and I've got some interns. But do you have someone who is qualified to run the program? So when you have staff, you have people who can run the program, who can write about the program, who can manage any monies that come in. Do you have volunteers? Do you have a space? Do you have insurance? Do you have all those little small intangibles that um, people don't ordinarily think about? Do you have those items? And you go from impact to outputs, and what do you want? Who are what's your target audience? Who are you trying to see? Is it kids? Is it kids of a certain age? Are there just teens? Are there adults? Are they young adults? Are they elderly? Are they, the traditional 32 to 50-year-old adult? Like, who are you serving? your outputs, outcomes, what are you trying to do? Are they learning to read? Are they learning art? Are they learning technological design? Are you giving them a place to bathe? Are you giving them job skills? Are you trying to give them jobs in general? Who are your partnerships? Do you have any partnerships? Are you okay? Can you do this without a partnership? All of those things, lay those out in a logic model so you can see what you have and what is missing. And ultimately, your outcome will then be like, okay, now that I've got all of these things, now I know what I want to do. And what do those percentages, what does that quantification look like? Are we, in the tutoring program example, what does literacy to you look like? Is that, um, efficiency, fluency? Is that just getting children to read in general? What do those aspects look like? And then what are the markers that show success? Because I always tell my students, the funder doesn't necessarily know what success is. You're the expert. You
Mhm.
tell us. What does success look like? Now, a lot of times funders have read enough to say, like, if you say we're going to do 100%, children don't know how to read in 6 months. We're gonna be like, okay, like that is
Mhm.
what a technique. Like we want to know. And if you do that, but then you don't explain like your technique, it's just we're gonna help. We're gonna tutor people. I'm gonna say you might have the best set of teachers and tutors that the country has ever seen. You've got to put that in a bottle if you're
Mhm.
doing it like that. And it goes back to kind of my other point was that people they want to, I think, sometimes over believe in what can happen because they think that's what the funder wants to hear. They
Mhm.
think we want to say 100% we'll do such and such. That's not realistic. We know that might not happen. There's always
Mhm.
going to be an outlier, and that's okay because we're human beings. So be realistic about your capacity, your capability. But I think writing it down in a logic model allows you to really put pen to paper what you do have and what is missing.
Mhm.
And sometimes what is missing is what a funder can help provide from their monetary gift. Sometimes what is missing, you probably have to go out and find it or get it in a different way. So I would say just think about what is the point and then also write it all down via a logic model.
Mhm. Love it. Yes. So Dr. Angela White Jones just told you all the secret sauce. Pull out a logic model and use that to help develop your program. And having you on means so much to me, especially being an alumni of the Masters of Nonprofit
Yay.
program at the University of Central Florida. And just for those of you all tuning in, participating in this program has really gave me, I like to say, I got enough in each area to be dangerous
Yeah, I
because
love that.
just enough, like in each area. And it's that experience that led me to be successful in working for national large nonprofit organization, but then also founding my own organization. And then within that, that's where you need a little bit of everything to be dangerous, is in that, in founding your own, because it's like you're building a lot of those pieces. Or even if you bring others in, you just got to know enough to be able to know, okay,
Yes.
is this the right fit for our organization? Is it going to
Right.
help grow our, whether it's our finance team, our communication team, and so forth. So having you on is very important to me. So if you don't mind just sharing some of the resources that the University of Central Florida has for those nonprofit leaders who are just, they have a passion, they want to be able to make a difference, but they just need that structure. That's our lingo here at
Yes.
Nonprofit Enthusiast, but they just need that kind of formal backing to be able to support the work that they're doing in the community.
Yes, of course. So I love how you said that you learned just a little bit of each thing to be dangerous. I love that. I am going to borrow that and attribute that to you for sure in future presentations. But yes, at UCF we have a variety of different programs that I believe will be a great fit for you no matter where you are in your professional journey and life cycle. So we of course have our master's degree. It's a 2-year program. traditional program, but it's online, 100% online. We also have the M&M, so the Masters of Nonprofit Management and Masters of Public Administration dual degree for those of you that want a little bit of both. Public administration degrees tend to be more in a public management space. So if you have experience in nonprofit and in public management, you can do the dual degree. We have two certificates, one in nonprofit fundraising, nonprofit certificate and a fundraising graduate certificate as well. So if you are someone who wants a little taste, or you're not sure, or you're maybe changing your professional lane, this is a really good opportunity for you to kind of get your toes wet in the space. Aside from those academic programs, we also have, through our Center for Public and Nonprofit Management, several different community programs that we have. We have our capacity building programs that I am actually managing in both Osceola County and in Orange County. And so those are an 8-week program, hybrid learning space, where agencies for free are able to get those particular capacities, different elements that help build and strengthen your organization to prepare you for additional funding opportunities, or for other fundraising, or just any kind of development that you may have. And so those topics range from strategic planning to board and volunteer management and development, grant writing, financial management, and at the end, you have a nice graduation and a certificate. And it is, I think, our students that have gone through both of these programs in the counties have been so amazing and so fruitful, and they care. It just, every time we host these programs, I am in awe of the work that they do. So if you're in a nonprofit and you can spare a couple of people to take this program for 8 weeks in either county, we start Osceola in April, we start the Orange session in June. Please contact me with that. We also have a financial management seminar in the summer. I believe that will start in June, late June or July. So if you are someone who is like, we've got a lot of the pieces, but not quite the financial aspect of it, then that is an excellent program for you. That's also about 7 or 8 weeks. And our students have amazing things to say about that. They get into the nitty gritty of financial management. So if you're like, I don't know anything about it, that's a perfect program for you as well. So those are some things that we're doing. We're also having an AI innovation program that will be starting in the fall, kind of late summer into the fall. So we've got a lot of really great programs that reach you no matter where it is that you are, and we think taps into nonprofits and what they need as well. So please, any interest that you have in those, reach out to me or reach out to Lashina to get my contact information, and I would love to answer any questions that you have.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming back on. I'm sure we'll see you at some point throughout the year to
Yes.
continue in some of the other topics and conversations. But it's always a good time when we get to kind of chat and catch up on different topics. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Lashina, and it was a pleasure as always.
Yes, and thank you all so much. And we'll see you next time on Nonprofit Enthusiast Live. Bye, everyone.
Bye.